Very warm welcome. You're watching Times Now with me, Priya Behel. Almost 32 days since the first assault by Hamas, and the war is still on between Israel and the terrorist group. November 7 saw long and protracted firing between Israel and the enemies. It is fighting on multiple fronts. The night sky was lit up with explosions as the Houthis launched what they called kamikaze UAVs from Yemen. An Israeli report suggests that the purported drones from Yemen may have been shot down by Jordan. Other Houthi attacks over the past few weeks have been intercepted by US and Israel. Houthi military's spokesperson says that Yemeni armed forces have launched a batch of drones during the past hours at various sensitive targets of Israeli enemy in the occupied territories. The Hamas, meanwhile, has released footage that shows how it fired mortar shells at IDF positions in northern Gaza. Hamas's Al-Qassam brigade has released this footage that shows attacks on Israeli military vehicles in Khan Yunis. This video shows RPG attacks on purported Israeli vehicles. A man was also shot at yesterday in Ofra, where he tried to enter an Israeli community and carry out a knife attack. But all of Israel remains on alert, with air raid sirens going off across communities at the Gaza border. In the last 24 hours, over 20 Israeli cities have been targeted by terrorist groups. Tel Aviv, Petah Tikva were amongst the cities that were attacked by airstrikes. As the Israeli forces fend off such lone wolf attacks and military offensives, both from the north and south, their main focus remains Gaza City. After 31 days today, they said that they have finally entered the main city, that is the Hamas stronghold.
הפעולות שלנו פוגעות בליבת יכולות חמאס. חיסלנו עשרות מפקדים, חשפנו מנהרות רבות, ואנו פוגעים קשות באויב. אנו פועלים בשילוב זרועות מצוין עם כלל גופי צה"ל, מודיעין, אוויר, ים ועם שירות הביטחון הכללי. לנגד עינינו כל העת החטופים שמוחזקים בשבי החמאס. השבתם היא מצפן עבורנו. לראשונה, בעשרות השנים האחרונות, צה"ל נלחם בלב ליבה של העיר עזה, בלב ליבת הטרור. זו מלחמה מורכבת וקשה, ולצערי, יש בה גם מחירים.
Hamas opened a vicious terror attack. The Hamas terrorists committed crimes against humanity. Many families have fallen apart and have lost the thing dearest to them. We have lost children, brothers, sisters, parents. 240 hostages were taken away from their homes and families. We do not forget what has happened, and we're going to continue to remind to the world that terrible massacre which had occurred. We're going to continue and remind the world that it is Hamas which is responsible for that. Hamas which is worse than ISIS. From the greatest depths of pain, the power of the Air Force, the Navy, the quality intel of the Intel Directorate and the ISA, along with the ground forces that are now in a ground maneuver in the depth of the city of Gaza, are exerting tremendous pressure on Hamas, all of them together. So far, throughout this month, we have attacked over 14,000 terror targets. We have killed many Hamas terrorists, including commanders at all levels. We have destroyed over 100 piers of terrorist tunnels and many means of warfare, warehouses, many of them within mosques, kindergarten, and residential homes. And this indicates the cynical way Hamas is using its civilians.
In its counter-offensive, the IDF have carried out furious attacks on Hezbollah warehouses. IDF warplanes took out Amaleh warehouse, launch positions and other infrastructure in response to firing from Lebanese territory. In Gaza, several strongholds of Hamas have been captured, tunnels busted and weapon factory blown up. Over 55 of their commanders have been killed by the IDF so far.